Good afternoon. On behalf of the Clinton County Fire Awareness Council, I'd like to welcome everybody out here today to our mock disaster car crash. The members of Northeast Volunteer Ambulance Service, Northeast Fire Territory, and many other departments that we've put in quite a few hours to put this program together for you today. We're trying to show you how big of an impact the drinking, driving in, distracted driving, texting and driving, using your phone, how big of an impact that really has on especially people your age. Over the next hour or so, Deputy Rick Abbott, he's going to narrate for us, and he's going to tell you some of the different statistics on teens and drinking, driving, and texting and driving. But two that I really want to point out and I want to stress is that every minute of every hour of every day, that's every minute, there's a motor vehicle accident involving a drunk driver. And every 15 minutes, somebody dies in a drunk driving accident. So that every minute of every hour, there is a drunk driving accident. And we're here today to try to prevent at least one of those. So hopefully everybody walk away with something today. The scene that you're going to watch today, it's not real, nobody's really hurt, but it can be emotional, especially if you've been impacted by something such as this. If you feel you can't watch it or you need to talk to somebody, please get with one of the first responders out here, get with your teachers, your school staff. They'll make sure we get you to the resources, a counselor, somebody that you need to talk to. Later, after we're done here today, we're going to invite everybody down. You can talk to some of the participants. You can talk to the first responders. We got Mothers Against Drunk Driving. They're going to have some information, support options that we can go over with everybody. But I think that's it. So without nothing further, I'm going to turn things over to Deputy Rick Abbott. He's going to be narrating things for us today.
All right, is everybody ready to be out of class for a little bit? Yeah. It's all fun to be out of class. However, we're here for a different reason. Prom's this weekend, right? Yes. But not only are we talking about prom, we're talking about any day, every day, 365 days a year is what we're talking about. Distracted driving is an activity that could divert a person's attention away from the primary task of driving. There are three main types of distractions. Visual, taking your eyes off the road. Manual, taking your hands off the wheel. And cognitive, taking your mind off of driving. Which is really easy to do if you think about it. It's easy to drive and start daydreaming, thinking about what we're going to do tonight, what's my boyfriend doing, what's my girlfriend doing. That's easy to do. We do it every day. But a lot of accidents happen because of that. All distractions endanger the driver, passengers, and bystanders. There's innocent people that are getting injured, seriously injured, and killed because of impaired driving and distracted driving. And we'll talk about one of those here very shortly. Examples: texting, using a cell phone, eating or drinking, talking to passengers, grooming your hair, reading, including your maps, GPS, reaching up to put something in your GPS. GPS now is on cell phones, so we all do that. Watching a video, or just simply adjusting the radio that we all do on a daily basis. Pretty simple. But because text messaging requires visual, manual, and cognitive attention from the driver, it's by far the most alarming distraction. And it still goes on. Even though we have a state law that you cannot text and drive, people still do it daily. The ironic thing is, I just told my wife the other day, Tuesday, matter of fact, we were in our personal vehicle and I pull up next to somebody at a stoplight and there's somebody sitting there texting as we take off. And they text the whole way. I looked at her and said, do you really think they'd do that if I was in my police car? Because they do. It happens. I've seen it. We can put our cell phones down long enough to do what we have to do, go from point A to point B, and then we can text. If you need to pull over the side of the road to send a text message, do it. Nobody's going to say anything. Turn your hazards on, pull over, send the text message. So some of the stats I have: in 2013, 3,154 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. It's quite a few. Approximately 424,000 people were injured, which was an increase from 2012. As of December 2013, 153.3 billion text messages were sent in the U.S. That's a lot. I understand talking on the cell phone has kind of went by the wayside, and we've all turned to text messaging. But that's a lot. 153.3 billion. At any given daylight moment, approximately 660,000 drivers are using their cell phone or manipulating electronic devices. Again, it's a lot. Engaging in visual manual subtasks such as reaching for a phone, dialing, or texting increases the risk of being involved in a crash by 3 times. By 3 times. Doesn't sound like much, but it's a lot. Listen to this one. This one here will really make you think of something. 5 seconds is the average time your eyes are off the road while texting. 5 seconds. That's not long. That was 5 seconds. When traveling 55 miles per hour, that's enough time to cover the length of a football field, blindfolded, at 55 miles per hour. That is a long distance. You get off the edge of the road, what happens? It's all over. You get onto the shoulder, you hit that little berm there, and who knows what can happen. Especially, I don't want to go into a lot of detail on it, but at State Road 26, all these firefighters that are here will tell you, you get off the road up there, you're hitting a telephone pole. So let's talk about drinking and driving, impaired driving. Each day people drive drunk at almost 300,000 times, but fewer than 4,000 are arrested. Almost half of all drivers who were killed in crashes and tested positive for drugs also had alcohol in their system. About 1/3 of all drivers arrested or convicted of drunk driving are repeat offenders. Here's a question I hear a lot, and I've heard it a lot over at the elementary level. Just curious kids, not saying they're over there drinking. The average person metabolizes alcohol at the rate of about 1 drink per hour. A standard drink is defined as 12 ounces of beer, 5 ounces of wine, or 1.5 ounces of distilled spirits, which contain the same amount of alcohol. Impairment is not determined by the type of drink, but rather by the amount of alcohol drank over time. I got just a couple more stats and I'm going to wrap it up because I have something that's, to me, very special. So, only time will sober a person up. Drinking coffee, exercising, or taking a cold shower will not help. High school students who use alcohol or other substances are 5 times more likely to drop out of school. Car crashes are the leading cause of death for teens, and about 1/4 of those crashes involve an underage drinking driver. Teen alcohol use kills 4,700 people each year. That's more than all illegal drugs combined. So real quick, a suspected drunk driver, how many of you heard of that just the other day? How many of you heard that? A 3-year-old child. We lost a 3-year-old child to a suspected drunk driver. It's hurting our little ones, you guys. Those of you that are seniors, you're getting ready to move on to college, graduate college, get married, you're going to be having kids. But what I want to do is I want to show you what it's like to be affected by a drunk driver. Because it not only affects your family, your friends, your classmates, it affects your life, your whole life. And what we've done is we've reached out to, I'm going to call her a very dear friend of mine, to come here to talk to you guys that has been directly affected by a drunk driver. Directly affected by a drunk driver. And she's willing to share some of the story with you. If you guys would, please welcome Mrs. Andrea Green.
February 15th, 2011, my family celebrated my son's 21st birthday. Exciting time. 21. He's legal. 12 days later, we were planning his funeral. Christopher Wayne Green, Critter to everybody that knew him. He was a smart, fun, sweet, loving boy. And he had a love of life that you would not believe. Critter wasn't a bad person. He was a young person, just like you. He made bad choices. He thought it couldn't happen to him, but it did. On the night of February 27th, 2011, he made a horrible, horrible decision. He decided to drink and drive for the first and only time in his life. In the early morning hours of February 27th, we got the call from our son's girlfriend telling us Critter had wrecked his truck. My husband went to check on him. He was the first on the scene. He found our son in a position that no parent should ever see their child in. You see, our son was trapped in his truck. He was pinned between the headrest of his seat and his steering wheel. He was unconscious, and he was just gurgling and twitching. His arm was bent at an odd angle above his head and behind his back. And my husband could do nothing to help our son except call 911 and pray. For hours, we sat at the hospital, praying and listening to the sounds of the machines, keeping our son alive. At 8:46 p.m. on the night of February 27th, 2011, the doctor pronounced my son dead from severe brain injuries received in the accident. Our lives changed forever that day because of one bad choice. We lost our youngest child. Don't think these things won't happen to you. They can and they will. If you find yourself in a situation where you have been drinking, call someone. Find another way home. Even if you know you're going to get in trouble or your parents are going to be so mad at you, at least you will be alive for them to be mad at. And they will forgive you in time. And any trouble you get into will eventually end. Death is permanent. And the nightmare that has become my family's lives will never end. You see, every parent's greatest fear is that something will happen to their child. It is our job to protect our children and keep them safe. And when they are hurt in any way, we feel we failed them. No parent ever wants to see their child in pain. And when your child dies, your life is changed forever. There is no greater pain than to look down into that casket and see the face of the child you brought into this world. You raised, and you loved him with everything in you, your entire heart and soul. A part of you dies with them. I pray every night when I go to bed that when I wake up, the last 4 years of my life didn't happen. That it was just a nightmare. And that critter will still be with us. But this is a nightmare my family will never wake up from. I hope your parents, your family, your friends never have to enter the nightmare that I live with, that my husband lives with every day of our lives. The choices you make always has consequences, and it's up to you what they will be. Make good choices for your lives, not just during prom, but every night, every day. Learn from others' mistakes. Learn from Critter's mistake. I wasn't able to keep Critter safe or protect him from the consequences of that one bad decision. And now me, his father, the rest of his family and his friends have to live without him. You have the power to keep your family and friends from living with the pain that we live with, and I pray you will use it. I'm going to ask Mr. Abbott or Mr. Rustin to let me know after the prom if there were any accidents, injuries, or deaths related to the prom and alcohol. And if there's not, then I will know Critter's voice was heard. I was able to protect you in the way I couldn't protect him. And I will know my son did not die in vain. It's up to you to make the right choices. Thank you.
Turn the song up, I like it. Yeah, turn it up.
No way, song's lame. Just hand me another beer.
Easy, Dan. Have you had enough since you are driving?
I'll be the judge of that. I drank more than this last weekend. I still made it home.
Yeah, no. I just don't want to get us pulled over and be late for the after party. It was supposed to be good.
It'll be just fine. Give me that beer.
Here you go. Don't forget, we have to meet Logan and Bree at the gas station so they can follow us to the party.
Oh yeah, better hurry up.
Dude, look out! What happened? Charles, wake up. Are you okay? Andrea, oh my gosh, Andrea.
My legs, they hurt bad. Are they stuck? I can't get them out. Maddie, help me.
Where's my phone? I can't find my phone. Here it is.
Where is your emergency?
It's in a car accident at my school.
Okay, what school are you at?
Clinton Central?
At Clinton Central, at the near the high school?
Yeah, in the parking lot.
In the parking lot? How many injuries? Is anyone injured?
There's a couple in my car. There's another car too.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay, Sam, that's okay. I will get help out there. You said it's at Clinton Central in the parking lot, right?
Yeah.
Are you injured as well?
I don't think so.
Okay, what about your friends that are in the car with you?
A couple of them are unconscious.
Unconscious? Okay.
Waking up.
Okay, I will get help out there, okay? And you said there's another vehicle as well?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, we will get them en route, okay? We will have the injury. Okay, we will. Okay, we'll have them en route, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay, uh-huh.
Hurry.
That's okay, we will. We're hurrying. We're on our way. We're dispatching them now, okay?
Andrea, are you hurt? Andrea! Andrea!
Do you know about the other people in the car?
Andrea!
In the other car?
Andrea, wake
Okay.
up.
All right.
Wake up, Andrea.
All right,
Are
we
you
will have
okay?
them en route,
Oh my
okay?
gosh, Charles, Andrea.
All right.
Charles, calm down.
Andrea, wake up!
I hear the cops. I gotta go.
No, Dan, help me! Andrea's hurt bad.
They'll know I've been drinking. I'm gonna go to jail.
Dan, help me! Do the right thing! Help!
While we're waiting for everybody to arrive, I want you to notice something, how long it takes.
Rescue 84's route.
To get people to where we're at. Okay? It doesn't matter. As a deputy sheriff, we could be in Rossville. Sorry, I'm having problems with my mic. We could be in Rossville. Luckily, this has been staged to be right here close by.
Rescue 74's route. 1242's arrived. Rescue 74's en route.
All right, so once law enforcement arrives, they're going to start assessing the situation. They're going to start telling emergency personnel through dispatch they have, what types of injuries they have. They're going to start checking for other things. Anything that they can do to render aid, that is what they're going to do. So the rescue truck has arrived.
Vehicles. 12-3, go ahead with your 1028.
They are now requesting Lifeline to be en route. So we'll have Lifeline en route to the scene. They've noticed that there's some serious injuries here that we're not going to be able to take care of at one of our local hospitals.
Not clear to dispatch Lifeline to the scene. 7-7's arrived, 702, where you want us? Hold on just a little bit, leave a lane open. Engine 133, I need a hand lane home for the red vehicle. We have smoke showing from the front end.
So they're going to start pulling off some hydraulic hoses here to be able to use the Hearst tools or the jaws of life. They also, being that there is smoke showing from a vehicle, they're going to pull out a fire hose until they can figure out where that smoke's coming from. A lot of times the smoke could be coming from a radiator that's got a busted line or a busted radiator. It'll smoke. Precautionary measures, they pull out the hose.
Rescue 74 clear. Fire control 17 command. When you get a hold of Lifeline, advise them that Rescue 74 will be their landing zone contact person.
So once you've made contact with Lifeline, there will be one person at the scene that is their contact for them to talk to. If you notice off to my right, your left, the officers on scene have noticed something from the driver. The driver is showing something, whether they've smelled something or saw things that look a little odd. What they're doing is they are now investigating an intoxicated driver. Meanwhile, the fire department and EMS personnel, they are getting things ready. They've got to cut people out of this black car. They can't get the doors open. You're going to see the jaws of life used right here in front of you. They cover them whenever they break the glass so nobody gets injured, as well as when they're cutting on it. They want to make sure that they do not injure anyone that's in the vehicle any worse than what they are already injured. They're cutting the windshield out to make it easier to get into them. Over in the red car, the red Jeep, they have the C-spine. They're holding a C-spine, which is somebody's neck, to make sure that they do not injure it any worse than what it already is injured. Across the scene, they are setting up an LZ, a landing zone for Lifeline. Lifeline requires there to be a landing zone set up. The incident commander, which is Rescue 74 with the white hat, he has determined that this is a safe place to land. He's made sure there's no power lines in the way for Lifeline to get safely on the ground and safely back into the air. They're taking out the backseat passenger in the red Jeep. The backseat passenger in the red Jeep, from my understanding, is the one that will be going to Lifeline. He has serious injuries to his legs. Meanwhile, the law enforcement officers are still dealing with the intoxicated driver, having him perform standardized field sobriety tests to see how intoxicated he is. Now they're going to use the Hearst tools, the jaws of life, to start cutting the side of this car to be able to get into the passengers of the red car. So they have now talked to Lifeline. Lifeline is en route. They are on their way here. They've told them where the LZ is. When they get a little closer, Lifeline will ask if they have any patient updates so they know what's wrong with the people they're going to be dealing with. So they've got the roof of the car cut off. If you notice, there are 2 medical personnel in the back seat. They are holding C-spine to hold the necks, but they're also making sure that there's no other injuries inside the car. Lifeline is now inbound. Our incident commander has now requested the coroner to be en route to the scene. Those of you down here, I don't know if you can see, but we do have one that is known to us as 10-0, one that is deceased on the hood of the red vehicle. So they have contacted the coroner to take care of that. While Lifeline's coming in for their landing, I know it's hard, you guys all want to see Lifeline, but those of us on the actual accident scene, we pay no attention to Lifeline. We see this helicopter all the time. We're going to pay attention to what we have to do at the scene, and we're going to make sure everybody on this scene is safe. The grass bath, that is compliments of Lifeline, by the way. All right, so they continue to work on everybody. They've got our patient here in front that's going to be going to with Lifeline. They got him just about ready. Coming out of Lifeline, you'll have a nurse, paramedic, doctor. Sometimes there's a doctor there. They will come out. They will assess what they need for this patient. They've already been told what's wrong with the patient. They will load the patient up on their cot, which they are bringing from the helicopter now. They will load the patient on their cot, take them back to the helicopter, load them up, and they'll be gone. Lifeline will be out of here. While we're still watching all this unfold, I didn't get a chance to tell you earlier, Mrs. Green, I believe, is going to stick around after. If you would like to talk to her or anything like that, we personally want to thank her so much for coming and talking, because that's something that is hard to do. That is hard to do. So the driver out of our black car, they have him out on a backboard. On the passenger side, they are continuing to cut the front side passenger out of the vehicle. Our Lifeline personnel have arrived over here at the scene. Once they get them loaded up, our firefighters, EMTs, they will help them get the cot back out towards the helicopter. She's checking him over, checking to see what all information she needs while he's here prior to getting back on the bird. So they've already got everything ready. They can make it back to the bird. As soon as they load him, they'll be back in the air. Just a matter of minutes. It's very quick. The pilot, they're going to do what's called a hot load. A hot load, meaning the pilot's not going to shut anything down. They're going to keep everything going. You notice he's cranked it back up. They're ready to go. As soon as they get over there, they'll put them in, and less than a minute, they'll be back in the air. It's very quick, very quick. They continue working on our patients over here in the black car. They've got one loaded in the ambulance, and they're working on the other one now. Meanwhile, our law enforcement officers have determined that our driver of the red vehicle is possibly intoxicated. They have placed him into custody, where they will take him to the sheriff's office to administer an breath test, a certified breath test to the state of Indiana. If he refuses that, they'll take him to the hospital. They'll do a blood draw. Either way. The biggest misconception with drinking is people think that their license. The one thing I want to teach you about your driver's license, you guys, is your driver's license, it's not a right to drive. It's a privilege. The state of Indiana allows you to drive on their roads. That is a privilege. And it says you will submit to a chemical test at the request of an officer. If you don't, your license will be suspended for up to a year. For 1 year, you won't have a driver's license. So they're doing the hot load. Our firefighters, EMT, and their medical personnel getting them back out to the helicopter. The important thing to note at the helicopter, you notice two guys standing back at the rear. That is to protect anybody from backing into the rear rotor. If anybody gets near them, they'll put their hands out and push them away. They always put two there. They've loaded our other patient into the ambulance. Patients in the ambulance over there, they're getting ready to head out. The coroner is now arriving. Once the coroner arrives, they'll take this person, put them in a body bag, and get ready to move them out. They will be removed from the scene. Once all occupants of the vehicles are out, law enforcement will continue their investigation. Lifeline is getting ready to take off. We have told you at the beginning that no one is actually hurt in this accident, correct? Everybody with me? Correct? I do not know if he is sitting up at this time, but on the count of three, let's all wave to Charles. He's going up in lifeline. 1, 2, 3. I want to tell each and every one of you guys something. This is one of your classmates. All because someone made a mistake, a bad choice. And I believe Mrs. Green said it. You are the ones that can make that choice. And all we're asking is to stop and think before you make the decisions that you make. The coroner arrives, they unzip the body bag, they put the person in the body bag. Ladies and gentlemen, prom is a great time. We've all been there. All of us up here have been there. But it's not a time to go out and make bad decisions. One of the hardest jobs, and I'm sure the law enforcement officers that are here will tell you that one of the hardest parts of our job is going to your house, knocking on the door to tell your parents you were involved in a serious motor vehicle accident or you've died. So what's going to take place is Lifeline is making a big circle. They're going to come back and land. I'm not positive if they're staying for a little bit or not. But once all this is done, you guys are more than welcome. And I encourage you to talk to all of our role players. They're loading this body up into a hearse. I encourage you to talk to these people because I can tell you when I met with all of our role players the other day, this stuff started hitting home with them. This stuff really started making some sense to people. Today, I took them to the side. I let them talk to Mrs. Green. And they see the dangers of distracted driving and impaired driving. Mrs. Sellers will be here from MAD. She has information. If you need to talk to somebody, please talk to her. We'll let the helicopter land. Charles might be sitting up now, so. All right, let's wave at him. Wave at him. We want to say thanks, a special thanks to Lifeline. A special thanks to Lifeline. Have any of you ever, I hope not, any of you have been injured enough that you had to go in Lifeline? Anybody? That's about a $20,000 ride. That was about $20,000 to get to go up in Lifeline, and they were fortunate enough and grateful enough to allow us to let somebody go up in it, and Charles was our lucky one. He just took a $20,000 ride for free. So we'll let him get the bird shut down. I want to take time to thank the Clinton Central School Corporation for allowing us to come out here and put this on. This means a lot to us, to each one of us out here working and doing this. It means a lot to us. We want to thank Northeast Volunteer Ambulance Service, Michigan Township Volunteer Fire Department, Forest Volunteer Fire Department, Johnson Township Fire Department. If you notice, I said volunteer. They're not getting paid to be here. They're here for free. That's how much it means to them to do all of this for you. Kirkland Police Department is Deputy Marshal Matt Myers. We want to thank him for coming. From the Sheriff's Office, Lieutenant Ron Blackwell. They are out here to assist as well. This means a lot to everybody. Please take time to talk to these people. Thank you, Mrs. Andrea Green. Like I said, I consider her a very good friend of mine. She's a savior, strong woman. Mr. Green, thank you for coming. We appreciate it. Mrs. Sellers, thank you for coming. Take time to talk to your role players and your medical personnel here. Okay, Real quick before I release you, we've still got some time. Can we get all of our role players? Where's all of our role players?
One's in jail.
We're still missing one. Let's give a big round of applause for your role players. Please take time to talk to them, and they can tell you that they've been through a lot, especially today. And I personally feel, on behalf of all these volunteers, thank you. You guys did great. You guys, thanks again. Have fun this weekend at prom. Be safe, drive safe, and have a great time. Thanks again.